You cannot have a plot and an RPG. They are diametrically opposed. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you to an extent. I'm gonna say that usually whenever people can say I have a plot for my game, a lot of times what it is I have a timeline or something like that, and it's like we can assume that they are going to travel or they're going to do things in such a way that that timeline is going to matter. But I mean, some people will just say no, you're going to do this exact plot or whatever.
Alrighty. New lesson here, folks. I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding out there in the community on some of the aspects of how you create adventures for your players. And as mentioned here by the Knight of Hibernia, he mentioned something here about role-playing game and plot. And they're diametrically opposed. So here's what could be going on here. Somebody's thinking something wrong here. I mean, I like the Knight of Hibernia, nothing, but nothing against him or anything. But I think there is something people are missing here. So, plot. A plot is something that a GM uses as a tool. GM tool. This has nothing to do with player. Nothing to do with player. And I'll use plural there. Players. So, what the plot is something that an NPC does, or maybe it's an event. It's like something happening with the Earth or something like that, like with the world that they're living on, the ground in general, or the weather. The weather could be coming in. It's an action for something, so it's basically an action, meaning something is occurring. Now, if you didn't have plot, and we'll use this example, well, we're going to go, we're not going to be using the plot as in Farmer's Field, but we're going to use the character NPC. NPC is going to be an old farmer. Alrighty. Now it depends on what the players, the players are like traveling. They say that they're walking out of town and going to location X, if that's wherever. Now along the way, they see a farmhouse with an old farmer there. Now, if the old farmer did not have a plot, okay, if he didn't have any kind of an action, he'd be just standing there, doing nothing. The farmer's plot could be he's walking to the barn with an axe, and he's going to go kill a chicken and bring it back, pluck it, gut it, and feed his family. Alrighty? That is a plot. So, walk to barn or coop, with axe. Kill chicken and prep. Cook it to feed family. Alrighty, so you may look at this as just a bunch of actions, but it is a plot. Now, where the players come into this is the players could see this old farmer walking towards the barn, for example, with the axe in hand. He might be in a grumpy mood or something, so we can give him like an emotion that goes along with this. This is where you can make your plots go from totally mundane here to something really interesting. Alrighty? Because this does not seem to be a something that the adventurers would get into. However, you know, players being players glom onto things that seemingly have no bearing on the story, but they cling on to them for some reason and go with it. So for this example, this old farmer, he's all grumpy and everything. He's walking over to his barn with the coop in the back with an axe. So as the players are watching this, some may come to conclusions on what's happening here. And they're like, "Oh, what's he gonna go do with his axe? He seems like a pretty grumpy guy, you know. Maybe he's plotting to do something." And here we go. That's where the word plot comes from. He might be plotting to do something. Now this is the player's story. They're just interacting with the plot. Now the players can ignore this plot. Fine and dandy, and just keep on going along on their way. But if they decide to interject in here, this is going to be the player's story of how they interject with this old farmer. There's many things you can do to make this super interesting and come up with all kinds of weird ideas and stuff like that. So the old farmer is going to go ahead and do this. And we'll say, after this action, this plot, the next plot is going to be the farmer will gather sticks and materials to build a scarecrow in order to protect his fields. Alrighty, and that's going to be another plot. All right, so where the players come in, and say your players do glom onto this, and this is a very mundane set of plots. So the players decide to interject. They could interject while he's going to the barn and a coop, and they think, oh, maybe he's going to go murder something or something like that. Or maybe one of the players is a vegan or something and just wants to stop the farmer from killing animals, and he's like kind of an eco-terrorist and decides to off the farmer or something like that. You know, all kinds of different things can occur with this plot, where the players are interacting and they're creating their own story on top of this. You know, and whatever happens with the players interjecting is going to change this plot, because this would mean, you know, if they decide to kill the farmer, this does not get done, and something else will have to happen instead as a consequence or a reaction to what has occurred here. But let's say that they decide to help the farmer, and they realize, oh, well, they talk to him, and he's like disgruntled, but they get on his good side, and he's like, well, I'm just gonna go kill this chicken and stuff. Yeah, you guys seem to be able-bodied guys. I do have some other things to do around here. If you feel like helping me out, I mean, I could cook you up a pretty good meal here, and I'm just you know, and I'm apt to pay you maybe some food stocks here for your journey if you help me gather some materials and build a scarecrow. And let's add something in here. Like there's a wild pig, so we'll have this wild pig in the area where he's got to gather these materials, because it's in kind of like a little bit of a brushland. So we're gonna have a brushland, or what do they call it? There's a name for an area where it's a small, like, wooded lot. So it's a place where farmers let trees grow in order to harvest them later on for materials later. So and it's kind of like in between lots of farmland. So, and you see that a lot in real life. So but this pig is going to be a monster, basically, that the players have to deal with. So let's say that they, and we're going to make this even more interesting. We're also going to discover that the old farmer has just married a young wife who's very beautiful. And she was kind of like, it was just an arranged marriage. So wife, young, arranged marriage. And she is not happy. Not happy. And now this is going to make things interesting, because she is, we're going to go tropey here, and she is hot. So this is playing on your nerdy players' feelings here now. Now, we can make this farmer really, nasty, but as soon as they kind of meet the farmer in this area, we might have the wife looking out and seeing what's going on, and they're like cluing in, oh, who's that? And the farmer, oh, she's my wife. I just got her just the other day, and I have her working in the kitchen and cooking me up stuff, and that's why I gotta go get this chicken. So so when we get to this part here with the wild pig and some danger and stuff like that, we could have the farmer get this might be part of the plot, as the farmer becomes endangered by the pig. So the players are kind of wondering, should we let the pig kill the farmer as like an accident? and then we kind of relieve the wife of her burden here, or something like that. So I mean, it's just a kind of a really whack, and it just brings in more interest into here. So now the players are interjecting, and they're like, some of them might be going along this line of this aspect of the whole thing. She might deem herself, she might be giving the wink and nod to a couple of the players here, or something like that. So we're making this plot, which is really, really mundane, into something that's really something that's super interactive with the players, and the players are going to create the story by their reactions among this plot. Now, everything in your game should have some form of a plot. It's not written in stone. Plots are never written in stone. They are always moving around, and you're always readjusting them because of the actions of the players or the actions of other NPCs, because maybe there's a plot where two NPCs are interacting with each other, and something that the players do kind of kicks out a factor out of one of these plots. So now this NPC has to readjust because of maybe a death of an NPC that was supposed to be integral with this NPC's plot. Now has to be rearranged and adjusted. So a new aspect of that plot gets created, and that's the job of the game master. So plots, they are not stories. They are just actions that are being plotted out, and how the players or the antagonists of the story are going to be the players or protagonists, whatever. Because I guess you could call them the antagonists because they're changing stuff. Protagonists would be committing themselves to a lot of this, and the protagonists tend to try to change the world or something, or themselves. So it's one or the other. Well, antagonists, I guess antagonists will. Never mind. We'll go on to that later, because you can view Luke Skywalker as an antagonist of the story of Star Wars, or a protagonist if you're looking at his internal struggle. So. Enough of that. So plots are not stories. Plots are just actions that NPCs are doing. And without NPCs doing any kind of their actions, they're just standing there. And kind of like an MMO. You've got that NPC that you go to and you get quests from. And he's always standing there, day or night. Or perhaps there is some sort of an AI that says, okay, at nighttime the NPC is not going to be there. He only shows up during the daytime. But he stands in the same spot every day and churns out quests for the players. And that's what you're going to have if you don't have any kind of action or plot. So keep that in mind. It's you're not creating a story with the plot. The players are creating the story by interacting with the actions of all the NPCs. And that's what makes things interesting in the entire world building aspect for your players. You aren't telling them, oh, they have to do this and they have to do that. Your players decide on what they want to do. And this entire plot here can be just wiped out just by the players going, oh, okay, that's a nice scene, seeing a farmer going to the barn with an axe, and no big deal, we're just going to keep on going down the road. And thus this entire thing just becomes pretty much null and void. You could have this as a reoccurring thing for later on. Or, perhaps there's an ongoing story where, they might encounter this farmer at his farm and everything again. Because this is in the story now. This is a location. And you just take this piece of paper with everything written on it and tuck it away in your book for something later on. Because the next time that the players come by this location again, you could have something else interesting occurring, but now you already have the setup for different NPCs and a monster and stuff like that you can interject with and have happen. This is kind of, you don't want to use this as like a quantum ogre. They will eventually, You want to use this as, okay, now we've established that in my world that there's a farmer here and a young wife, and they're just living their life on the farm here. So, and if the players ever come back here, they can interact however way that they want to. But you do already have the basis of all this. So, of this location. So there you go. That's the thing about plot. You gotta have plot. You have to action. You have to have actions happening with the NPCs, not with the players. This is all NPC. So keep that in mind. This has nothing to do with players and the player's story. The player's story is how the players are interacting with all these different actions going on in the background. Because you need that. If you didn't have any plots, your whole entire world is stagnant. Adventure hooks are plots. Any kind of action that you see occurring in a city as the players are walking through it are all plots. They're all actions. NPCs are doing things that they need to do in order to survive in the world. A merchant is selling stuff. That is a plot. It's an action. He's doing something. And you have to keep that in mind, because if there is no plots, nothing is happening. They're all standing there, and like mannequins. And you walk up to the mannequin and you talk to it, and the mannequin talks back to you, and there's nothing happening. So you need to have these actions. You need to have something going on in the background in order for the players to react to or ignore. It's entirely up to them. So this idea that plot and story are diametrically opposed, well, it's the reasons why stories happen. So if the players didn't have players were just walking around and oh, we see this, oh, we see that, it's it's just stagnant scenes as they walk around. You're just looking at scenery, and nothing's doing. Oh, there's a monster standing over there. Oh, why is that monster just standing there? You don't have any plot to it. There's no action to it. So that monster could be hunting something. Maybe that's what its plot is, or is action. Without that, like I say, everything's stagnant. You got nothing happening, and players are just being murder hobos, basically. Oh, there's a monster there. We go over there and kill it. Oh, there's a group of bandits over there. Oh, let's go over there and kill it. And there's nothing feeding the players. There's no motivations. There's no you're not giving them any reason to do it. It's all murder hobo kind of stuff. So you must have these actions or these plots for these NPCs in order for them to be dynamic and doing stuff. Okay, you guys understand? Any questions down below? If you want me to clarify, put it in the comments or give me some feedback on what you think. Kudos to Aaron for posting a lot of cool stuff. I enjoy his streams and everything, and sometimes he's got some interesting players that interact with him and bring up stuff like this, which I'm going, well, maybe this is wrong, or maybe this is right, So I like to go ahead and respond in kind and get communications going between other YouTubers and stuff like that. So that's my take on this. And thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you guys again on the next one, next video. Don't forget to subscribe.